Are we having a meet-up?
Is
this a meet-up?
A question here to all of you?
Yes.
Yeah. This is my question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, Scott. Hang on.
Sorry, Scott.
Does this go,
Yeah.
does this go back to gladiators? Who was your favourite gladiator?
It's not gonna.
Probably the mobile phone holder.
I've built it up now. I suppose your dad will slowly fade away. To be
Use
honest,
that Hater 41 Pro with a Kawasaki engine on it.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, no,
Can we film this? I want to film Craig so we can skate around this. Who's an anchor?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
fucking hell, man.
but that old man who had the plastic brush cutter blade didn't know how much it was.
No, he didn't. I asked him that.
Pathetic. They should
Chet-
know that all
Chet
we're going to
or
ask is how much.
So all his job is to sell shit.
Actually, I am recording, so you would.
That's the problem though with cash. The cashless society, nobody knows how much stuff is. Did you?
Yeah, big fucking time.
Really?
About an inch come off didn't it, after you used it. I mean, you
You'll
go
go
back over
through
there.
one per day.
Yeah, it works great.
I did see some guy walk past with blood in his eye like that.
That was probably Mike. I saw a bit fly
Do you know
over.
what?
Mike.
Hit you straight
I
in the
just
fucking
wanted
head.
to try it rather than using a metal edging blade. That would work, and it did, didn't it? It done the edge quite good.
Yeah.
I think if you was cutting right round a, like if you were doing a pub garden, you were strimming round benches, you could hit the wood without
That's what he
like
said.
dinking the bloody
You
blade.
think-
I think you'll
so?
get kickback, man.
I'm sold on it.
Yeah. I was sold on it until you said that you took Mike's eye out.
I actually don't know what it would be like in rough. Because that Oregon blade, which comes out and goes up, is really good for brush cutting.
Right. I just used my big really like what is it 240 steel battery one. No, sorry, petrol.
What blades?
Basically metal version of that
Right.
triangle thing. But I don't really use it to be honest. I just use a thicker cord. Seems to do the job.
Seems quite sensitive. That auto feed head has to be 2.4.
Yeah, I'm not
No
done.
thick extreme.
I just don't think it's needed, is it? Is it really hard to bump the head?
It is for old people.
The Husqvarna ones,
Yeah.
the multi-tool they've just brought out, that's coming out this year. It doesn't have a tap. You don't have to use bumper feed heads anymore.
Right.
There's a button.
To
On the accelerator. Yeah, and you just press it and it releases a bit.
I suppose that saves the wear. Because that's the problem. That's obviously my main ones are steel ones. They're great. They wear out.
My Makita one's done 2 years. It's absolutely fine.
You don't do any work.
I do, but I just pump it on soil. So there's no issue really. And I try not to stream anyway because it's dangerous and time consuming if you don't have to stream.
I remember once
Why would
doing
you?
a full day's winter work, clearing back and everything, and I basically thought I'll just got a tiny little lawn, literally like the size of these 3 tables.
Can you actually see
Thought I'll
it?
just run it over there just to like pick up the last bits of the crap. Done a window for it, didn't I? Come out the right hand side of the Hater 41
Yeah,
and just that was it.
they can turn it if it can.
And you know what it's like, isn't it? Of course, the window cost like £5 more than my excess. And I was just like, fuck's sake. Right, just pay it outright.
It's the worst.
The first window I ever did, it was like one of these outhousey type things, like the home offices, but she uses it for floristry work. And so say that's the building there. I'll tell you what, in fact, say that's the building there and I'm strimming along this line here. I was about here, and that distance there is about 3 or 4 meters, okay? So in my mind, I'm clear of the 2 windows. I've got to about here, which is about 20 meters away, and something's caught my eye, so I've seen it go dead straight, so it's shooting up here. Got to about here, and just started turning. Started turning and turning and turning.
Spin on it.
Yeah, and went straight in, hit the window. 2 panes of glass with a blind in between, £2,000. Fortunately, I was insured. But yeah.
Jesus.
Happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, first cut's the deepest, as they say.
Shall we do the questions then?
Sorry.
There's a lot going on with that company there you go.
Yeah, because
There's a lot going on.
they're Chinese, aren't they? At the crux of it.
Yeah, but there's like 3 different companies in one.
We're going, we're live.
Yeah.
Live in the... Where are we?
Jolly Roger.
Woodman.
The Jolly Woodman, eh?
So the first question was from Curtis, who we have here, Chinese or Indian. I won't do what the backup questions to that were, because it might be a bit rude. But
For me,
Chinese or Indian.
50-50, couldn't decide. Depends what mood I'm in.
I think it depends what's on the menu of each restaurant.
Yeah.
I think.
I'll probably go with the same as that, but probably more Indian.
Yeah. I think
I'm
I'd be
Chinese.
You're more Chinese.
Yeah.
You look at it.
Yeah.
But I do like the big crisp thing with the Indian.
See, I think that
A poppadom.
A
poppadom.
You prefer a poppadom,
A poppadom
to
with
a,
a good korma, mixed with a korma, right?
you prefer a poppadom to a prawn cracker.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you eat it off the crisp.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
do
Indian
that.
restaurants are more reliable.
Do you think?
Yeah.
The last two
Less-
times I've had
less
Chinese
dog.
from the same
Yeah.
place, I've got ill. From the
What, the
same
last
place.
Chinese? Yeah,
the
that's what
last
I'm
Don't
two
go. Well,
times.
if you've gone there twice and it's been bad, don't go a
Don't
third
go.
time.
No,
third time.
it's just down the road, so it's quite handy. But
Well, there you go.
that's life. Another one, Curtis. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
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 Tea. I can't stand coffee.
Milky.
Black.
Some milk.
I would know because I just made you one.
Yeah, I know, and you didn't put milk.
I didn't put any milk. Hang on. Stop. I was about to use it.
So, Sam J. Rock.
Don't know him.
No. What's everyone's favourite piece of kit that they couldn't do
Nice
without,
answer.
excluding a van?
Lawnmower.
Yeah.
Or,
I think so.
yeah,
Couldn't do without.
couldn't do without.
Multi-tool, I reckon.
Multi-tool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So you're going to cut grass.
Strim it.
It's clever.
One tool does it all,
I
doesn't
don't
it?
think you can get sportsman with brush
If you
tools.
take the guard, if you take the guard off it, you could have a 17-inch cut.
You
couldn't
could slice your ankles in half, just like that.
Especially that rubber head.
No, because I've seen on the internet people holding mowers up and cutting hedges.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a guy on a ride-on being craned.
yeah, that was me.
Oh, I'm gonna say it right.
That's the way we roll. Are you editing the gaps out?
I'll just
All
go
right.
through them.
Okay, just chuck a few like jokes in between. Okay.
Hooper's Garden Maintenance. You'll know Martin.
Right.
Have you got any hats?
Favourite battery brand and why? So we have just been on an ego day, so we're a bit egoed up at the minute. But
We are.
start with Curtis.
I'd like.
I
Curtis
don't
to
have a
start.
favourite brand.
Or
Run 2 brands.
TC answer.
2 brands.
2 brands, one for mowing, one for the rest.
Fly mow and do.
Works.
Works. Oh, okay.
Bit of Parkside as well.
Parkside.
From Lidl.
Tell you what,
good old
you can't knock it.
No.
I got a few of their spanners.
Titan as well.
Titan. I've got a
Titan.
Titan angle grinder. Beef.
I got a Titan chainsaw once. Yeah. Didn't last that
Be
long.
careful with that.
Where's your answer, Greg?
What are you saying, Greg?
What are you saying?
brand?
Mine's a bit of Makita, a bit of Hater / Toro.
Oh yeah. Is it?
What's
Oh,
yours,
for the
Mike?
mower. For the mower.
For the mowers.
Yeah, not for the
Not for the
2-stroke equivalent.
anything else
Yeah.
at the minute.
Mike, what is your favourite battery machinery? Tell me about it.
I'm guessing it's not still, is it?
No, I can't stand still. I
Oh,
like the Kia. I think the Kias are really good.
yeah, because of the coffee machine.
Coffee machine.
So therefore, you buy your drills depending on what coffee machine.
Yes. No, I think ego.
You think it. You're not
yeah,
sure.
I'm pretty sure.
You've committed. I was going to say you've committed to not be sure. I'm gonna put my hand up there. I think it's different horses for courses, as they say. I have some Stihl equipment, and I have some Toro. Sorry, I do have some Toro equipment, and they're alright for around the home, but I would never use that on the job. But yeah, I guess a little bit of ego as well. They're the stuff I've got.
Yeah.
I've not really tried anything else, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I make my own coffee.
Yeah. I think mine's pretty much the same as yours. I think ego and the Kia.
Yeah, you can do
Motown
so much
NI.
with one battery with Ego, can't you?
Yeah. Motown NI. If you had to work as an employee for another gardener, who would it be?
Not you.
I don't get it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you do. So,
So
if you had to work for one of 3 of us, who would it be?
Yeah.
But you can pick anybody.
Or you could include Jay, because he was part of the question.
What can I choose anybody in the world?
Yeah, I guess so.
Elon Musk.
Let's keep it lawn care.
No, if you had an employee for another gardener.
I don't get the question. Even Curtis looks confused.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
that's how he
Lost.
looks. That's his resting face.
It's a simple question. If you had
Christ,
to,
sorry.
if you had to be employed
Yes.
to do gardening by
Yes.
another gardening company or gardener, who would it be?
If you had to work for someone,
Yeah.
him, me.
Well, out of all three of you.
No. Out of anyone you know, like you, John
On
Ryan. Do you
social
want to work
media.
for John Ryan?
Paul Anderson.
Paul, Scott. Anyone?
That guy you hate, Wayne.
There's a guy, yeah, Andy Wayne.
Andy.
I think his work ethic's amazing. Very impressive.
Well, there you go then.
I'd love to work to Andy.
There we go then. Sorted.
Don't edit that out.
Said with a straight face.
Keep that in there, Greg.
I don't know.
Yeah. Everyone's gone like, oh.
A lot of people don't know what we're going on about.
Slightly awkward. I don't know. I'd say
I
something.
don't think I would work for anyone else.
I
It's
think I'd
not
go
a-
for like
an
a big
answer.
America, like someone like Corey Ballard in America. Go on a little work experience, 6 months out there. That's what I'd say.
That's in Buffalo.
What are you doing with a buffalo?
Oh, hold on, you haven't answered, Greg.
Oh, no, I haven't. Who would I don't know. Not the people I did work experience with, because everything was held together by duct tape. I might say Scott.
Welcome to Log.
Oh no, I might say someone like Scott.
I'm not gonna work
He's
for
got
Scott.
all the big ride-on
Yeah,
machines I've never
yeah.
used before. Seem to work quite short days.
To the point never seen in a video.
To the point never seen a video. Does he have employees? You never seen them.
Scott,
It's
do
always
you have
him.
employees?
It's always him
We-
buying new machines.
Yeah.
So he must be making.
Is he
lot
like
of
a
money.
second-hand mower dealer? He just buys them
buys
brand
them
new,
for like
sells
a
them cheap.
week. Yeah, maybe. but-
Scott, there's only one way to find out. Make a video, show us.
Next one's gardens by gas, ketchup or brown sauce in your bacon sarnies. Ketchup.
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 We're Southerners.
Brown.
Oh,
He's not.
are you Northern in the
Yeah.
heart? Are you?
What even is brown, like, flavoured on though? Like, what's it meant
Like
to
a bit of
taste like?
spice, isn't it?
I've never had
No,
that.
that's what the people on the streets have. The spice, isn't it? I've seen it on the news.
No, brown sauce.
Cuts Crew Limited. If you could get one piece of equipment for free, what would it be?
A van.
No, doesn't he say not a van? Or was that
No,
Jen?
no,
Oh,
that
okay,
was
okay.
something else.
Van. Sorry,
Van.
you're going with a van. Yeah, I was going to say.
Because van
Probably,
costs the most, doesn't it?
yeah, I was
So-
going to say probably you're looking at the most expensive bit of kit, are you? Probably
Batteries.
batteries.
batteries and chargers.
A crate of batteries.
I think, yeah, it's got to be a van, isn't it, really? Just for the sheer price of it.
And by the same person, what are your expectations in technology in the next 10 years?
I think it's got to be battery improving, and I think they've nailed it with things like the hedge cutter. I think that's as good as it's going to get, isn't it? Obviously, mowers are beginning to go that way now. The Hater are going to bring out the roller mower, so I think you'll see more and more sort of the mowers, but I think then also the other stuff. So then you'll start seeing the scarifiers, maybe the aerators, but just it's going to spread from battery, from the main gardening tools to everything involved in gardening a bit more. That's what I think. But I also wonder, with prices shooting up, will as many people be able to afford fertilising and things like that if the prices keep rising as they do? So will we end up looking to do more like in America, sort of like recycling the clippings and stuff like that to keep the nutrients in, because fertilising has become unviable? There's a serious question, a serious answer. I'm done.
Hopefully technology and batteries will improve. They're not terrible.
No, not terrible.
They're not terrible at the minute, but
Charging could still get faster, couldn't it?
definitely from some companies in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, who are you digging at here?
Not
There's
Ego.
two that work on the same.
Yeah,
machines.
Okay, so should we highlight those?
I don't
machines?
think we need to.
There's plenty of people that want to know what you're talking about.
I'm lost. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
Don't worry. And I
We
think,
haven't got enough time.
I think more to do with. I know there's a few apps that we can bill and invoice
Yes.
and quote on the go. there'll be more to do with that because
Yeah.
taxis going digital
Yeah.
in a few years' time, so there'll be more easier software and things like that.
Cheaper.
That
If
would
there's
be-
more, then it'll be cheaper.
Yeah,
Ultimately,
I mean, I've just changed business account and I can invoice through that
Yeah.
so
Who
easily.
have you got?
Monzo.
Oh, never heard of that.
Not many people have, but people I know have Monzo all love it, and it is very
Yeah.
good. Thumbs up to Monzo.
Cheap.
Cheerful.
£5 a month.
Oh wow, very cheap.
Bit better than fucking. Oh, sorry. Bit better than
It's fine. It's fine.
Jobber, isn't it?
Ducking jobber.
Yeah,
Is that what you
fucking
said?
jobber. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look,
£30 a month.
it's a great platform. What they do, it's very good, but I think you need, if you don't have multiple staff, then it's just unjustifiable. That was the way I looked
Yeah,
at it.
definitely.
There was, I looked at it and they took me through. The guy like accessed my computer,
Yeah.
and went through it all and showed me how to use it in depth, and I was really, really impressed. But really, there was only 3 features that I found would be really, really useful, but only 3 things that I found I would implement and use
Yourself.
today, as it were. And that was like, it's £200 and something a month,
Yeah.
whereas I use Invoice to Go, and I think it's about 250 for the year.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you compare the
Yeah.
prices,
250 a month for solo persons.
Yeah.
I think £250 per month for a four-man run business is too much.
yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, 50 a person, it's a bit much.
QuickBooks, I think I pay about £25.
My QuickBooks is 11 a month,
Yeah, I can't.
but then you can't do a lot of it.
Yeah,
I think there's.
I just use my accountant uses them, and they get me a
Yeah.
disc. They gave me the option of them or the other one, Zero, is it? But they got me a better deal if
On
I did
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks through them. So to be honest, I don't use it. Obviously my bank account's linked to it. I use a thing called Dext, which they ask me to use, and I take the photos of the receipts on Dext. And so all I do is take the photos. It automatically does its thing. So actually, although I have QuickBooks, I don't use it.
Yeah.
It's for the accountants to
Running
deal with.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I quite looking at my QuickBooks. I just quite like
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Looking
It's
at
good to see how much you've spent
Yeah,
and what's come in.
but Jobber would be good.
Well,
I
how do you
think-
think it will improve?
I think Jobber will be is better price range for a single operated business, because when you start going up through the next packages, for me, one of the main things was having multiple users. And obviously, because there's multiple people within what we do, you can track, you can give certain people different jobs to do for that day, which is perfect. But as soon as your account needs another user, it goes up like £60 a month.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, no, gone off subject here, but yeah.
Curtis, what do you think? 10 years will improve?
Will you be taller?
No.
Probably just shrink, really. Start to get on.
What's going to improve? Like I said, charging times,
Yeah.
I hope.
Do you think drones will be easier to fly?
They will fly themselves.
Rivers.
Yeah.
There's rivers.
Curtis crashed his drone in a river, just to fill you in on that
Yeah.
one.
Only about 5 minutes ago it was.
I reckon van technology will improve.
It needs to. Yeah.
Obviously, Curtis's electric van, we've had a video, we've got another one coming on his electric van experience, which wasn't
Wasn't good.
brilliant.
I think
But there's room to go.
van
but then
security would be
hydrogen.
nice.
Yeah, I think there are
Yeah.
things being implemented for the next. Yeah, within 10 years, I think.
Yeah, 'cause it seems
But you
as though-
basically need to have a van in a van
Yeah.
for it to be any form of security.
Mm.
Or you have it made like a tank.
I don't
Like
think you should
1 inch
spend
thick steel.
a lot of money on a van and then have to put more security on it. No, should you?
Do you know what I've always thought is, you know, like in a shop, when they close up for the day, they leave the till open, just to like go, look, there's 15 quid in there,
Yeah.
if you want it, you can have it.
Just leave the side door open.
Yeah, is to, you know, you get the locks like you've got on your van and stuff, is you lock the driver's and the passenger door. This only works if you've got a bulkhead, obviously, and then you just leave the van unlocked. This is if you have no tools in, obviously.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they'd probably break the door open and then go, oh, it was open.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
that's
try and reduce the damage. or almost if you have a
Well, the shop
window,
leaves their lights
like a
on.
window, yeah, just a window for someone to look in and go, actually, there's nothing in there. Or in my first van, I didn't have a bulkhead, so you could look in. And what I do is, like, if I did leave anything in there, I just tuck it down, so you'd look in and you couldn't see anything. So hopefully they'd go on their way, as opposed to going, well, there might be something in there. Let's rip the door off and have a look.
Yeah.
Pause.
DSA gardening, out of the 4 of you who would win in a fight. So I think this meant if Jay was here, which
Oh, Jay,
he isn't, 'cause he's
Jay.
gone off
Yeah,
somewhere else.
He's trained, isn't
You don't
he?
want to mess with that, Joe.
Don't
But
mess
yeah,
with Jay,
but
'cause he might kill you.
did he go to war though?
He
Has he
might
got
kill you
actual
with a
has he
stab.
actually got contact, combat
I'm not sure.
I'm not
experience?
I'm
convinced.
not sure.
So out of the 3 of you who
I
would win
thought
in a
about auditioning for gladiators. I don't know if that helps me, but
I'm not
I've
sure
had,
what
I've
that's
had a
got to
think
do
about
with
it.
mental against these 2.
Mental,
What was this a mental fight?
In terms of mentality, how is that going to defeat these 2?
because I've
Gladiators.
visualised Peugeot sticks.
So my theory is Dave will just run away. He does triathlon, so he can just run away
Or swim.
or swim.
It depends where you are.
Yeah,
Or,
depends.
steal a child's bike
Depends.
and cycle away.
It depends
Got
if
it
we've
all.
had a lot of
Triple
rain.
threat, me.
If we've had a lot of rain, you can swim. But yeah, then we're down to you and Curtis.
Just be sitting there talking shit to each other.
It'd be-
So how's your inverter doing today?
So whoever falls asleep first.
yeah,
is the
yeah,
winner.
falls asleep. I reckon Mike might fall asleep first.
Curtis wins.
GMD, grounds and home, battery or P-roll? I suppose you meant petrol.
For what?
Well, is that they just put battery or petrol? Is that to sniff or mowers? I would say
Do you sniff
petrol.
batteries?
Battery where you can.
Yeah, that battery. Yeah.
I think definitely for two-stroke equipment nowadays,
Yeah, yeah.
except for the backpack blower in the middle of leaf season.
Yeah.
It's not there yet. Maybe it is. Maybe this Ego one's good. I don't know, but it seemed
Not the power.
two 10-amp batteries did 40 minutes. No,
Yeah.
An hour. What did you say?
It was
45.
30 minutes on turbo, 45
On
on
high.
high.
yeah. Where if you think a tank of fuel on a backpack will do an hour and a bit, won't it? So
And obviously
it's
you can
not
fill
there.
up in
Seconds, can't
yeah
it?
a minute.
But you've got £860 of batteries on that
Yeah, exactly.
for
As opposed to about
45 minutes.
I suppose
Yeah.
like £5
So you
quid
could
worth of
buy
fuel.
BR600 or
Yeah,
something for that
yeah.
price.
So
couldn't you?
yeah. So except for leaf blowing,
We'll go with battery.
yeah.
Battery, yeah.
Apart from leaf blowing.
James Duke, garden maintenance, dealing with shit in the gardens. So I'm guessing means dog shit.
I don't part with it anymore. I've got
I either go
zero
round
tolerance.
it or flick it onto the path I've already cut, or blow it onto the patio,
Do you
and
onto
then
the patio?
the customers can pick it
Strong.
up.
And then
Depends how
and
far
then-
I've got to blow, because poo has a way of going into more bits. It rolls and then splits into
That
3.
could be. You know
How
when
would
you
you
check
know this?
because he blows a lot of it.
I would
There's
just
one
go
garden
round.
in mind where I'm thinking of, but it's not.
I've got
it's not
one
a
garden.
long way to blow. Kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you,
Hedge?
or if you cut, do a few stripes, then you come up to one, flick it onto where you've cut, so you can see it. Say to the customer, it's there, and then.
Yeah, I think if I'm doing a quote and I see loads of it, I will take photos and include them in the quote and highlight it and try and make it the photos as graphic as possible
Yeah.
to make them vomit when they see the quote and then go, "This is your garden."
But that's providing it's solid strewn, of course. If it's running mush, you just go around it.
I think a lot of people, if you send them a text and say there was loads in the garden,
Yeah.
they're really offended.
Yeah, they go.
I
How
find
dare
if you
you?
message someone, be like, oh, there's loads of mess today,
that's
they're
what-
like, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
it won't happen again, even though
You've
it
got-
does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Well, that happened with us, and we sent the lady a message to say, look, sorry, it's getting all in our machines. You need to clear it up, basically, prior to our visit.
yeah,
And then we left for the Christmas break, and then when I messaged her in January, she didn't want me looking. I think because she internally got embarrassed
yeah,
that I had to bring it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some gardens, like when the leaves come down, there's no way the customer could see it.
Yeah.
So
Like,
you
it's
sort
just
of give it a
you
little
sort of
you-
like,
So what they
Yeah.
want is some sort of glow-in-the-dark food to give the dog.
Yeah, that's what they need.
so they
Just
can
don't
see it
go on the
with
lawn.
that.
Yeah.
But
Or
yeah,
just, don't,
nice.
just don't buy a dog.
I think you've just got
or just get rid of the dog.
Yeah.
Or put a bag on the back of the dog.
Yeah. Nappy.
nappy. I think you've got to accept some, because even the best clients are going to miss one, aren't
Yeah,
they?
sure.
And you
Yeah.
accept that.
But it's when they say that they've cleared it up, and yet you've
Yes.
seen for the last 3 weeks there's been some in the same places, and it's fading into the soil. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you haven't, have you?
Well,
Not very well. It might have just quickly gone out.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that I've left started to grow hairs.
Yeah, they go
I
fluffy.
find if you're striping a lawn and you go round it, it makes it so obvious as well, because
Then
they
that's
will
good.
see
Yeah.
you're literally that you've gone round it.
They'll
They won't
look for the
correct
house,
the
they say, "What
stripe,
is rings
and then
and
they'll
all?"
be like, "What's that?" And then they'll actually see you've gone round it all.
Yeah, I think telling them from the start is the key. Because it sets the bar for your tolerance levels and what they're going to expect. If you are
Still going now.
see what happens.
Yeah, I heard us talking about.
I wonder what they do. What do you do? I think you would always, and also if they're not going to clear it up for knowing that you're coming around to quote, then you know they're not going to clear up anyway.
I've got a question off of this. What about cat poo?
How's it
Because
gonna do?
they go in bloody flower beds all the time.
See,
It's
I don't have that
everywhere.
issue. Yeah.
Some houses, if they've got cats, it will be all in the flower beds, like wood chip. They love that.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't.
Just below it. Ideally, you can lift the fence panel,
Yeah.
go under the fence. Next door's problem. Or a footpath. Not from experience, but I haven't come across that really, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if I was mowing and there
More
was the
people
odd
have
one, I'd
dogs.
just sort of, while I'm blowing, because obviously I'd strim first, so there's standard lawn, I'd pull up the strim, blow all the clippings off. As I'm walking around, if I see a notable pile, then I'll just, with the blower, just get it somewhere where I don't need to deal with it, and it's their problem then. And if they say, why have you done that? Go, well, there wasn't any dog poo. And they'll go, well, there was. And I'll go, no, because you said you cleaned it all up, so there can't
reverse
be any.
psychology, yeah. I think first times of seeing it, you sort of get a bit.
Hortus, worst / most
Sounded
unreasonable.
Latin. Sorry.
Worst / most unreasonable client story.
Oh, well, I was told you about my mental client, haven't I, today?
Yeah, we've heard that.
Yeah. So that is somebody who,
I can't remember. it.
she's, I've got 3 clients around her, 2 either side, 1 across the road, and she keeps telling me that she's got events on in her garden, which are non-existent. So she keeps saying, can you come in at a different time because I've got such a thing on? And I say, yeah, fine. And then I turn up, and I think she forgets that I'm there for a couple of hours more doing all the neighbours' lawns. So I'm there to see that there isn't an event on. So she's just, and then I speak to the neighbours and say, does she have something going on? They go, no, she hasn't. She has no visitors. So she's just making stuff up. Now I would normally bin her off, but because I've got clients all around, I'm there. So yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's the current one. I had it's quite a tale, this one. I've got a really stressful one, which is one of the. It was are you all familiar with hydroseeding? Hydroseeding. So you've got seeding, you've got turfing, then you've got hydroseeding. Hydroseeding is where you have like a big container, it has X amount of water in there, a glue, seed, fertiliser, and you put a dye in there as well, so it's green, and you have like a fireman's hose. So what you would do is go, and then you would put it out all over the prepared area. What will happen is the seed grows quicker. It also, because it's got the glue in there, it sticks, so if you're doing a bank, it won't run or wash out like it would do if you seeded the area. And I met a guy who was basically coming up with an idea that you could order, you go on a line, go on computer, type in your lawn size, 100 square metres, and they would send you out a tank on a pallet with the right amount of seed, fertiliser, the right seed for your lawn, everything else. And basically he had a meeting with a dragon, if you like Dragon's Den, and there was myself and a few others were asked to attend just to give our opinion on hydroseeding and what we thought of it and stuff like that. So that was that. And then I thought, this could be quite good business, because like when you, the problem he had, so I thought it'd be quite good business from a point of he would go and hydroseed lawns, then I could come in and do the aftercare package afterwards. So I thought it worked well for me. Anyway, get a phone call from him, and he said, Dave, I've got I've seeded a lawn. It's all okay. Just needs like a kick on, an extra feed to bring it up. I thought, okay, yeah, fine. He said, I've given your number to the client, so I'll get him to give you a ring if that's all right. I said, no problem. So this guy gave me a ring, and you know when you're speaking to people, you get like a vision in your head of who you're talking to, and it was like he was having to pick up his kid. I think he might have mentioned the kid was at primary school. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he's got like a 6-year-old. If he's 6-year-old, he sounded as if he'd be in his 40s or whatever. So I thought, okay, I went to the property, and then two elderly couple came out, and so I was a little bit confused, because in my mind I'd pictured this guy with a 6-year-old, so I was like, they're far too old to have a 6-year-old, and they were furious, absolutely steaming with rage. I'm like, what? And then she introduced her husband, and I thought, that's not the guy's name I was speaking to on the phone. And I'm like, I think I've got the wrong house. And they were like, no, you're here to see the lawn. And I was like, yeah. And they were so angry, and I couldn't understand why. And they showed me round to see the lawn, and I looked at it, and I thought, oh, that's good. It's good, isn't it? Yeah, and I could see exactly what it needed. And they were like, but look at it. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, what's wrong with it? And she's like, look. And I said, look, for a seeded lawn, it's quite good, I think. She said, but it's not turf though, is it? No, it's not turf, it's seed. I don't know what the issue is here. And they were like, wow. When John gets here, I thought, John, I know that name. Yes, brilliant. Then he got here. And then they were like, the guy who did the hydroseeding, I think they thought I was part of his company, and basically he'd sold, if you can imagine, seeding being a 1 and turfing being a 10, he'd sold hydroseeding to them as it was like an 8, so it was like turf, but it was a bit cheaper, but in fact it's probably a 3.5 in reality, but he'd sold them the dream of an 8, so they were furious. And I couldn't understand why, because I didn't know, because he'd totally stitched me up and thrown me into the lion's den. And then they went and looked at something, and John went, okay, so basically the whole project went wrong. We levelled it all, because it was really lush in one corner. And they were like, why is it lush in that corner? Why is it not like that everywhere? And he said, oh, the day before, basically there was loads of rain, all the topsoil, all the good stuff got washed into that corner. And then basically when they weren't looking, I smoothed it over as best I can, so basically there's no topsoil anywhere apart from in that corner. And I was like, oh my God. And it turned out the guy was a QC, whatever that is in law. It's quite high up, isn't it, in the courts and stuff like that. And he was suing the hydroseeding company, and he was taking them to court and this, that and the other. And I was just like, oh, this is like one of the first quotes I've ever done. And I'm just like totally out of my depth, thinking, what the hell have I got myself into? Like, is she going to try and sue me for this as well? And then they were like, you've got to put it right. At least I want to give you a laugh. What? Me? It was just like, so anyway, that was that. And it was terrifying. And I came away and I had to go and lie down because I was so stressed. Partly because I just didn't know what they were talking about or why they were so angry. So that was pretty bad. So anyway, I did the work, and she was kind of happy with it, but she was. I got out as soon as I could. I couldn't cope with the stress and the angriness of it all. That's my one. Yours?
I started a commercial site, 60 residents, and you start off at a site, bad flower beds, too many flower beds, residents extend. So I come in, quite new, and I'm like, right, we're ripping out loads of these flower beds, we're turfing it. So I'm out at a new site, ripping out all these bushes, plants, bulbs, everything, and the resident shouting at me out the window, then comes out, but I've already finished ripping out and turfed it, she's not even known it, and I was shouted at, effing and blinding, everything, from like an 80-year-old. just for actually benefiting something.
Awful man.
Yeah, I mean, she
Hooligan.
did. She was really rude, but do you know what? In the end, once she saw that the garden was improving, she was on my side and liked all the improvements. But at first, I think all hell broke loose. But now I'm very cautious at other jobs on not being too extreme in one go.
So what would you do differently?
I try and get all the managers to alert the residents on what's being done, but even then they don't. Some sites they don't like it. They don't like the change. They just don't like it.
I think that's the same in anything where you've
No,
got
but-
multiple people on a golf course. You try and do work. You want to do work to improve the golfer's experience, speed up play. But you'll always get someone who goes, no, not having that.
I ripped out a flower bed that was it was all covered in ivy. So I've ripped all the ivy out and taken all the bushes out, and they're all like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" But we're going to seed it. So then when you sit in their conservatory, rather than looking at this horrible ivy kind of flower bed, you're looking right out into the garden. But they all don't see the image you can see when you're doing it, which I think is the problem.
This is going out to Kaylee. I can be as loud or quiet.
I've got a question from James at Hayes Machinery.
Hang on.
More of a professional question.
Yeah, so it's the worst, most unreasonable client story. So we've had yours.
Being told off.
And
Yeah,
mine.
we've been told.
Furious elderly people.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Furious elderly
mine, yeah.
people, Curtis digging plants out. Fancy doing that.
What's he doing now?
Major improvements to the site.
I would say being unreasonable is when there's, say, 3 of you at a job for most of the day and not getting a single tea or coffee.
That happens every day with me.
That's
That's why I bought McKee one.
that's one of my most unreasonable ones, is not getting a drink, or old people asking for too much to be done in 1 hour if you're only there for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Some
Could you
people
do
When-
this?
when
This,
the- when
this?
the
Okay, right,
It'll only
well,
take you an hour.
Yeah, the
When
one,
the-
the
when
one
the
job I'm
list
here to
is-
do is going to take that probably.
When you want to take 2 ton of ivy off a garage roof in an hour and cut the grass as well, it's like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yes, unrealistic, non-tea giving people.
Non-tea, awful.
Should be shot.
I've got some clients that have never offered a cup of tea, but they're like always, it's good money and they always pay
Yeah.
exactly
So
on
you-
time.
yeah,
and
so
you
you
go,
think,
do you know
"Oh,
what?
I'll make a tea when I get in."
Yeah, exactly. I'm not too fussed by it.
Or if you're there for like half a day and you only get 1 at the beginning.
Do you want yours halfway through, do you?
No,
Is
1
that
at the
the problem?
beginning, 1 in the middle, maybe 1 at the end, depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah, but you
It
can
doesn't
get,
hurt
you
to
can get
be-
clients that go the other way and then they just keep coming out.
Too
and it's
much,
just like-
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much, yeah.
Sometimes with the elderly, they bring out the tea and it just gets thrown in the bushes because
Yeah.
it is like
Yeah.
paint strip. Up.
Yeah.
I've got a customer that brings about a black coffee, and it's in this huge thing. I've never seen anything like it. It's literally
One of those
it's
Direct mugs. Do you remember them?
times 3. This
So
thing
is this your most unrealistic story?
No, I've been chased by a walking stick. Whacked on the
Well, you've just
head.
been chased by a walking stick?
Well, a person.
Or a person with a
walking
walking stick?
Yeah, an old lady wielding a walking stick. Done me, cracked me on the head 3 times.
Why?
Because you had your blower on.
Basically, after that moment, I had to contact the son and say, look, your mum's aggressively chased me around the garden with a walking stick. Can you have a chat? She passed away 6 days later,
Yeah.
so I sort of I left it.
Yeah. What was the cause
Didn't
of
press
it?
charge.
Yeah, what was the cause of it?
She was just going.
I
He
did-
told me that she had Alzheimer's
Yeah.
on the phone call, and I said, well,
I had 2
Heads up,
issues
wouldn't
last, I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before, no, last summer I think. One is I went to do a quote, it was a client of mine and she said, oh, can you help my neighbour out, which is really elderly, just needs a lawn mowing every now and again, fortnightly, whatever. So I went round and he had like this old fashioned porch, but it was more like a greenhouse. and he was sitting in it like sweating to death. And then I was like I said to my client, oh yeah, I'll come round after here. It takes about 2 hours. And I got there, and I think he'd been sitting in the sun, magnified, for like 2 hours. And then he tried to stand up. I was like, no. And I honestly thought he was about to die. And I was like, no, sit down, please don't stand up. And I'm just like, God, if he goes up, he's going over, and I'm going to have to call an ambulance. I'm so busy, I haven't got time for this. And I was just like, please, just sit there. I said, I will go and have a look round. And the lawn was basically, it hadn't been cut probably in a year, because it was like hay. So I said, okay, look, this is the situation. It's going to be a cut. It's going to be a separate price for the first one, and then it will be, it's only a small garden, X amount, whatever, for then on in. But the first one, this isn't just a lawn. And he was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, are you okay going back in the house? And he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I was like, okay. And I was like, Jesus, I don't need this pressure. This is too much. The daughter then rang me at the weekend, and he basically a couple of days later got into a hospital, and he actually died a couple of weeks later, or a week later. But the daughter said, oh yeah, so he'd obviously remembered what I'd said, and she said, oh, so the first cut was for X, and so what we've done is we've given that money to the neighbour. You can just pick it up. And I was like, well, normally what I do is I'd get your details and then just invoice you afterwards. And she's already given the money to the neighbour, but she'd not given it to the neighbour that's my client. She'd given it to a different neighbour. So I'm like, okay, fine. I said, in future, just wait, and I will give you the payment details, and then we don't have to have these issues. So she said, so although he's in hospital, at this time he hadn't died, so he's still in hospital. She's like, but obviously, we're probably going to have to sell the house, so if you can just keep maintaining it, so while people are looking around, it looks presentable, that'd be great. So I was like, yeah, fine. So I went to my normal client, cut the lawn, then went round to the other next door neighbour to collect my money. Of course, it's during the day, so they're at work. So I'm like, oh, this is great. So I didn't do the work, because I thought, do you know what, it's better to try and chase money for a job you haven't done as opposed to chasing money for a job you have done. And then, of course, the next week I went back, they were at work again. So then I got a message saying, I think they sent a message to my actual client saying, am I not interested in doing the work? And I said, no, I am interested in doing it, I'm just interested in getting paid. And they were like, well, he's died now anyway, so we've sold the house. I'm like, all right, fine. And then they said, but to let you know, the neighbour had left the money under the mat. I'm like, okay. Nobody told me this at all. So they'd given the money to a neighbour I didn't know, who had then decided to hide it in their garden without telling anybody. So I'm just like, I don't need this. So that was that. And then I had another one where she had dementia, and the daughter would only text me at 7:30 in the morning. So I'd send her a message or whatever, and then she'd reply to it at 7:30 in the morning, to which I would reply instantly, but then she'd reply to it the following. She'd only do one text a day at 7:30 in the morning. So I don't need this. And anyway, the deal was to do a one-off cut to get the lawn manageable for someone to do it regularly. So anyway, I get there, of course she doesn't answer the phone, does she? Sorry, answer the door. So I'm like, okay, so I carry on, I mow the front lawn, keep knocking on the door each time I walk past, there's no answer. Go to the green bit or the brown bin to put the clippings in. Then it's fresh cutting, someone's filled it. The deal was I was leaving the stuff on site, so that was relevant to my quote, right? So okay, fine, right, well I'll just bag it for the moment and see what happens. Knock on the door again, nothing there. So then I'm thinking, I haven't got time to come back another day, this has to be done now. So I start climbing over the fence so I can unbolt it. Of course she comes out, doesn't she, while I'm half over the fence. So she's like, why didn't you knock on the door? I said, I've been knocking for half an hour. She goes, no you haven't. I said, I have. She said, no, you must have just got here. I said, but the lawn's all cut, look. And then she was like, is it? And I was like, it was a foot high beforehand. How can you not notice? So anyway, I get down, I let myself in. I said, look, it's all okay. Just go in, I'll carry on. And then so I'm strimming the perimeter, and then she keeps walking up to see if I'm all right, but standing right behind me. So literally as I step back, I'm like, whoa, like this. So I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just checking you're all right. I said, I'm fine, but if I turn round and strim your feet off, you won't be. So I was like, you go back in the house, I've got this.
Put the kettle on.
I didn't trust that. No. So anyway, this happened about 3 times while I'm trying to strim. So then the daughter then contacted, so did that, got paid, everything's fine. The daughter then said to me, look, we're struggling with the regular maintenance, would you be able to carry on? I said, yeah, fine, but there's 3 or 4 issues that happened while I was there last time. I said these need to be resolved, even if it's just a matter of health and safety. And a bit like your clients being offended with the dog mess, I never heard back from her. And that was it. So I was like, do you know what, you don't, there's some hassles, some things, there's some jobs you just don't need.
No.
So yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Scott Elwood, SE Landscapes.
Don't know.
What's your ideal end game, knowing that this is a physical trade that realistically you can't do at 67? I don't know why 67, but
Is that retirement age nowadays?
I thought it was 75.
75? It used to be 65, maybe it's gone up a little
But anyway,
bit. I don't know.
what's your ideal end game? Trying to get as much done as
I'll
possible.
be get as much done as possible.
Probably charge as much
I think
as
just
Scott does.
trying to build your business up so that you can just retain some admin responsibilities, I suppose.
Yeah.
And still
Yeah.
running the
Try not
business.
to buy too much.
No, I
spending that
guess from my point of view, it will be build the business to a point where you've got people doing the manual labour work. Obviously, I've got 2 boys. They're babies at the minute, but there will come a point where maybe they might want to take over. It might start that they just work holidays and then they might be interested in taking over. So similar with your dad, you've come in and took over, and I suppose your dad will slowly fade away physically.
Yeah, no.
And actually, but you've taken over, so it may be that one of them might want to take over, maybe both of them, or maybe neither of them, and then then that's something to think about. Do I carry on growing the business to bring people in to do that, so I, as you say, just check people have turned up and stuff like that, or does it get to a stage that you then just sell everything you own and
look into pensions,
Just
look into other ways of making money,
Yeah.
stocks and shares and all that stuff that's not reliant on the weather.
lottery, that sort of thing?
Can I just ask a question here to all of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
This
may.
is my question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, Scott. Hang on.
Sorry, Scott.
Does this go,
Yeah.
does this
Mike's
go
more
back to
important.
gladiators? Who was your favourite gladiator?
He's not going to ask about ego, hopefully.
I love it. Pensions.
Yes.
Haven't got one.
Talk to me.
Something I'm looking into.
You haven't got one.
I had one, set
Right.
one up
Yeah.
the month I left the golf course.
Oh.
So I paid 1 month into it, and then I started the business, and I haven't looked back into it yet.
Pension.
I'm about to start looking into it.
Pension.
I had one set up when I was 18 at the golf club. I had it for 18 years, so I paid 5% into it every month for 18 years. The golf club paid, it changed, but I think let's just say an average of about 7% of my wage monthly for 18 years. So that's got a nice tidy number in there. So that's just sitting there earning interest. Obviously, when I left the golf club, I just moved house and we did a lot of renovations, as we are looking to do a big extension currently. So for the minute, I'm not paying into it because I'm investing my money into the house. But I suspect once that's all over, I can then just carry on. But for me, I feel that with house prices, I'm better off putting the money into the house than I am putting it into something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Okay. Second.
You?
No.
No pension,
Yeah,
no
no,
nothing.
We pay our employee pension. We don't have a pension.
Yeah.
Health insurance, life insurance.
No.
I have life insurance that you have to have when you have to get a mortgage. You have to have life insurance, so I have life insurance for that. I've looked into sort of injury insurance and stuff like that, but quite often they will ask you a load of questions and promise you the world, and then they find out what you do for a job, and then they go, oh, actually, no. So every time I've looked into it, I've never got to the point of them pushing the button. But to be honest, I've not looked really deep, really hard into
Nor
it.
have I. Nor have I.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt.
Have you
No,
got
fair
life
enough.
insurance?
No, they're 2 kids as well.
So yeah, your ideal end game is to still be able to move around at 67
On a pension.
with a bit of a pension.
And some insurance.
And mine is to be a more management role. I would say, potentially with my kids running it or others.
Right. Okay, so we have some other questions that you lot have. You sent one
Yeah, so James from Machine Nation,
Oh, this is a good one, isn't
he
it?
asked. Well, it's not, I think it's a good one because I think
You told me it was a good
I think
one.
It's a difficult question.
I've built it up now.
Would you rather cut a large area average or a small area perfect?
Small area, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't forget the machines that you might get to use, or you will use if you were doing a larger area, to make it more. I know it's satisfying and pleasing to cut a small area perfectly and look back on it and think, tidy. But then what if I said to you, don't worry about how it looks, just get out there and zip on with a rider.
Yeah, small but perfect.
I think whatever. To be
Use
honest,
that
I
Hater 41
think
Pro with a Kawasaki engine on it. Perfect.
it's that thing, isn't it? You know, like I would probably say the answer is whatever's most profitable. I'd like to think, but then I have a fortnightly lawn that's very profitable for what it is, but I'm embarrassed to park the van near it because it's, you know, they've got loads of dogs, it's all burnt, they're all digging away and all the rest of it. The sun, the front of it is on a really steep bank, so all that grows is the weeds, which just need to be cut down every now and again because any moisture just rolls straight off. So I'm embarrassed to park the van in front of it, but it's good money for what it is. So it's I don't know,
What about
it's
you?
difficult, isn't it?
It would have been a small area perfectly, but now
You got a ride on.
using a ride on day and, well, 2-3 days of the week. Yeah, it's just nice to be able to use that machinery. But then when I do come off it and cut a small area perfect, I look back and think, yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think yeah.
I'm torn between the two.
Right.
A mixture of both.
Yeah, I'm a mixture of both.
Any more questions?
So I had a question from Wayne Esau, I believe is how he says his name. He wanted to know, now I think you've got to bear in mind he's in Canada, but he said, does anyone check soil temperatures before fertilising?
No.
No.
I don't fertilise.
I don't. I think the caveat is that in I was going to say Canada, but that was me messing around earlier, wasn't it? In Canada, I think with their temperatures, they can go from really cold to really hot. Here, we just don't get the vastness in the temperatures. I would say as a caveat, at the start of the season, I do use a thermometer to gauge when the soil temperatures are warm enough to start seeding, because what you can get is some really nice hot spring days, but of course the soil temperature, you need a few before the soil temperature warms up, and of course that's what you need for seeds. So
Have you ever used cold season lawn seed?
cold season lawn seed.
Cold season / shady.
I had a
Yes, yeah.
I had a house had a new roof done, and they trashed the lawn, and the roofers left in December, and I wanted to get the lawn looking half decent by Christmas, and we did. We got it back in a month with a cold season seed.
Yeah, see,
which gets you. It's okay at the time, but
yeah, but
Sort
that's
of strains of grass that aren't meant to be
yeah.
can work well
made.
because they do
for
germinate
longevity.
low. They'll germinate quick. There's no longevity at all.
No, but then there's probably more sort of like annual meadow grass in there, isn't there? Where it's quick, it's shallow rooted, bang, it gets you. You find that a lot with these garden centre, patch repair. You instantly get grass, but then it dies away straight away. It's very
When you look inside of those Patch Magic containers, 4% is grass seed. 4% is grass
Right,
seed.
next question.
Favourite striping mower from Hoopers? Greg?
Can you beat a Pro Stripe? Really? Pro Stripe 56
Pro Stripe with brush, you can't beat apart from a cylinder mower.
yeah, I'd say yes.
You
I
cannot.
mean, Martin's got a Pro Stripe now. He's grown up, so
My
realising
48 with a brush is as close to that Pro Strike as you can get.
Yeah,
It's 20
48.
kilos lighter.
yeah. I think the 56 is, you know. Yeah.
What about you?
Any hater strikes pretty well. So.
Yeah, but you had a hater 41. didn't you?
41s,
Hate 41, 48, yeah.
41s that go at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, I got one of them.
Ridiculously
Yeah.
too fast.
Can slow
I
them
still think an ego strike's nice.
fair enough.
Down to the user, I suppose.
Right.
Contact is quite a nice stripe actually, even though the roller sits
Yeah.
ridiculously far in the machine.
I guess you got the wheels, haven't you? They're pressing it
Well,
down
that's
as
what
well.
the Americans have. The wheels give the stripes, and then they think it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But if you look at
there's-
the grass in between the wheels, they're the same shape.
There's one YouTuber,
Right.
quite a good guy, and that was his like picture, you know, of like a lawn, and it literally was wheel stripes, and that was it, and it was like that checkered effect, but from literally the tyre marks. You look at it, and it makes the rest of it look like almost scalped and stuff like that, and it looks awful. But you know, we do it different in the UK. You know, I'm not chucking shade at the Americans.
Well,
Right, another question. What are your tips for growing your business being a one-man band?
Well, can you grow it being a one-man band? You can
I think being a one-man
you can
band, the
pick
only
and
thing you
choose
can
your
do is
customers.
grow.
Well, is the question to stay a one-man band?
I don't know.
Just growing your business as a one-man band.
Who's it from?
SD ground maintenance.
Oh, good old SD.
Oh, is that Sam Dickinson?
I think there's two options, isn't there? You can grow it as in your profit line. So what
Yeah.
you're going to do? Are you going to
Charge more.
yeah, but by doing that, you would need to advertise lots and lots and lots and lots. Put your prices up, knowing that you're only going to get 10% of them. But actually, if you put your prices really high, that 10% will cover. All
Try not to have too many tools that you need to maintain. More of a specialist,
Yeah, I think that's key. Being a
rather
specialist.
than having a gazillion tools to do.
Looking at your route,
Zillion
your
things.
route density. So for me, as I've sort of said in a few sort of recent videos, how I'm actually moving service locations. So I was in Hazelmere surrounding area. I'm now in Camberley, and basically I've only been over to Hazelmere once this year, and I'm saving about £160 diesel a month now, just from not making that trip. So yeah, I mean that times 12 is a nice little saving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although you can take it on if they cover the travel,
If they
which
cover.
I've just done.
Yeah, but that's for like a one day kind of go over there and
Half a day a week.
yeah, but for a single lawn, you know, here,
Oh, yeah,
there,
you
and
wouldn't
everywhere,
do
it's
it.
not going to happen, is it? But you know, as we know from you're going over there and you're doing that. For me, my whole business is over there at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stay over here more so. So for instance, on Wednesday, I've got to drop the boys off at nursery. So normally I would leave at about 7:30 so I can start at 8:30. But because I've got to drop the boys off at nursery at 9, realistically, whether I'm going to actually be able to make sure that I've loaded the van and everything, I'm probably now not going to be able to start till 10. So with that window now, all of a sudden I've lost quite a bit of working time. Whereas if I'm local, I can drop them off at 9 and at 10 past I can be starting. So it's for me it's just not practical. But yeah,
I've found you either do everything or you try and just specialise in something, because I don't think you can do it all.
no.
It's too much hard work.
It is,
stuff
isn't it?
in the van, stuff out the van. So rather than taking everything on because you're thinking it's more money, it's more stress.
Yeah, I think that's why, for me, I don't advertise hedging. And if a client says, "Oh, can you do hedges?" I will look at the size of it. I will look at, and I will know whether I can dump the waste there and stuff like that. And then I can make a decision on whether I would want to take it on. Whereas if you advertise hedging, you get a phone call, and of course you go to this massive hedge, and then of course you just don't have the setup and the equipment to take it all away and do everything, and then it becomes a job that you're not geared up for. So I try, and as you say, I just push the jobs that I'm really good at. Although if a regular client asks me, about
You
other
try
stuff.
and
I can, yeah, and they know the score. They know I do lawn care first and foremost, and I can do other stuff. But generally, I think waste is the biggest issue, isn't it? It's trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
What have you said?
Oh, okay. What did you say?
Can't remember.
It was that interesting.
Yeah. Get the money right.
Yeah.
Get the money
Get the
right.
money right. Have reliable tools,
Yeah.
vehicles.
I think also
Somewhere
you know,
safe to have all the tools if you
I think
can't keep it at
you've
home.
got to have reliable clients.
Reliable
as well.
clients, yeah. More
I think
contract the better.
because there's two parts to that question, isn't there? There is the part of growing, as in like just creating the better that growing your finances and stuff like that. But then there's also the growing of actually taking on staff and things like that. So it could be that he's asking, how would you go about getting your first member of staff and things like that. I find when I look around now, I don't know how this affected you, obviously, but it seems to be when I look around, generally people who've got staff, their first member of staff is normally a friend, a son, a relative or something, and then from there, that's enough to then get them in another van, and then you can get someone either with yourself or with them, and you know that they're with someone trustworthy, and they can train them or you can train them, and then you can build like that. But I always think that first person is the most important person, and I'm sort of in two minds on it of whether you find someone trustworthy like that, or actually you go down the road of getting someone really young who you can sit in the van, don't cost you very much, and actually you can just do your normal day
While they're watching.
yeah, exactly. And they're just effectively helping you. So actually, when you get to an area where it's just a bit of mowing and there's no real skill involved, you can get them to do that. And actually what you can do is you can upsell and go and spray the driveway with some weed killer or something. And then do a little upsell here because you've got a bit more time, and actually the upsells you're doing is covering their wage, but at the same time they're learning and gaining experience to the point where you can go, right, okay, now you're up to speed, we can take on a few more mowing jobs, and you can really sort of, you know, make the most of having that assistant. So I think that's the two ways of doing it from the start, because my biggest fear is that you take on someone, I say, Mike, come and work for me, you come and work for me, I do say 6 lawns a day, Mike's coming to work for me, we're going to do 12, great. Then 2 days later, you don't turn up for work.
Yeah.
Now I've got another day's worth of mowing to do. Now you can only do that once or twice because the weekend's only 1 or 2 days before. And sure, it will happen that people turn up ill, I'm sure. Like your guy Sam turns up ill, I'm sure. Now it doesn't turn up ill, obviously. He phones in sick. And that's fine, but obviously when it keeps happening, then you've got an issue, and then you potentially are losing clients. So you have to work, you almost have to then get rid of those people and start again. Whereas I think if you've got someone trustworthy, it's not so much of a problem. But if you start off with someone younger, cheaper, you can build up slowly. So that's my sort of two kind of main thoughts on that.
I agree. Very difficult.
It is, yeah.
Is that all the questions?
Are we having a meet-up?
Oh, we
Is this a meet-up?
I got a couple more questions.
Right. This is a meet-up.
That's one of my questions. Are we having a meet-up?
So Pete
Yes.
Horsley.
Yes, we're having a meet-up.
Whoever asked that question.
Pete Horsley said, favourite cordless blowers.
Blower, cordless blower.
Basically,
Well,
favourite electric.
well, the Ego is the most powerful blower. That's what they say, isn't it? I've not used the world's most powerful handheld blower.
Doesn't mean it has to be your favourite, though, does it?
I don't know why you'd want anything else. Why?
Well, just saying that not everyone's favourite car is the fastest car in the world.
No, but
The Ego 7650 is a very powerful blower.
yeah, but what's the purpose of having a car? It's from getting from A to B, isn't it?
Exactly. But you've got other blowers that can do pretty much the same job, blow off a patio or driveway.
But I think there's got to be some, if you're naming the best cordless blower, it's got to have some
It's got to be a reason for it.
functionality that it makes it the best.
Other than it's your favourite colour.
Yeah, which is probably Mike's favourite colour.
What's my favourite colour?
Green?
Yeah.
/ orange? Or, yeah,
Orange.
asking.
Yeah, I think the Ego blowers.
I've not used it, but it would make sense to have the most powerful handheld blower.
I've used the Husky blower, battery blower.
Yeah. I haven't.
You've used the Makita.
I've got the
blower,
Makita
Stihl.
and the Milwaukee and the Stihl.
And which one do you use?
And if you had to choose
Well,
one of them,
the
what-
Ego I never bought. It's sent back, and I prefer the Makita and the Milwaukee blowers.
But you
Over
don't
the
run
Ego.
Ego tools, do you?
I don't run Ego tools because I don't see a reason to buy into their stuff.
No.
I've got the Makita stuff, which
I guess that's the other
like.
argument, isn't it? Is the
Yeah.
the Ego might be the more powerful blower, but if you don't run any
Yeah.
Ego stuff, you
Yeah.
wouldn't have the battery, so
Yeah.
it's
Power
pointless.
it, yeah.
Because if they have, let's say, one good product, aka that blower, but their strimmer and hedge cutter, I don't think anything to, there's no point buying it.
Yeah.
But then there's between the Makita and the Milwaukee, it depends. I'll probably say the Makita because their other stuff is good.
Yeah. Do you have any other Milwaukee stuff?
Got the hatchet, the little chainsaw thing.
Did you
Right.
buy the Milwaukee blower
Yeah,
and batteries?
yeah.
And
So
is
why would you not buy the Ego blower and batteries?
So I wanted to try the Milwaukee. So I
you
tried
couldn't get
the
a demo
Ego.
on it.
No. And I knew that I could use those Milwaukee batteries in drills, or I could sell them to people that have Milwaukee stuff.
Right, so you already had the battery.
I mean, I could get Ego stuff and sell it to him,
Yeah.
but then he'll probably only want to pay like $5.
It's cheap, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why he's cheap curses. So, yeah. The Ego's good. And I was the Makita and Milwaukee are just as good, just maybe a little bit less power.
I think they've got to a stage now where they can't really they all do the same job. They might feel a little different. Some feel more comfortable to hold for longer. The powers, they're more or less all the same.
But they're all,
Does it
all
really
more
matter if
powerful
one's a
than
little bit more powerful than the other?
They're all
at
more
stage,
powerful than the petrol steel handheld blower.
I always
In my mind, by a long way, actually.
I think you need to have a look at specs first to see whether something's going to be worth.
Well, you say that, but when I was looking at the Makita, so twin battery blower, the 36 one, in power terms, that compared to the steel petrol handheld one, BG at 86, the steel was way more powerful. But you know yourself from battery, it's instant go, where steel takes a while to warm up, and it seems like it has more power.
because I sort of consider that sort of still BG86 as like the go-to.
Yeah, and it's one of their most popular.
Yeah,
products,
it's the one everyone
in
has
the world,
or had, isn't it?
which is fair enough. But I would say all 3, 4, including the Husky ones, probably more powerful, really.
Right.
And so then, okay, they're more powerful, but they're not going to compete with a BR 800 or
No.
Echo at 770 at 8010. So you don't need to be packing loads more power because it's not going to really get you anywhere. It's just going to add weight and use more battery.
I'd go for comfort, really.
Yeah.
With a blower?
Yeah, over power. Sort of on a bigger site. Walking around a big site with a handheld blower. Some
Yeah.
of them are not comfortable.
I don't know. I don't think I feel like that. I think if someone said to me, "Oh, here's a lawnmower," I'd want to know how well it stripes. If someone said to me, "Oh, here's a strimmer," I'd want to know how comfortable it is, because
Yeah.
How well balanced.
yeah, well balanced it is. With a blower, I'd want to know the power.
Right, I see your point.
That's what you want the output for, isn't it?
Because the Toro blower, you know, that is as you hold it, it's aiming level. But of course, leaves aren't level, are they? They're on the floor, so you have to manually tilt it like that. So
Yeah, and the handle's really big.
it's unnecessary, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the trigger's at the front, so the hand, you know.
So you've got all this
You've
section
got all
at the
this
back.
bit here, which is completely unnecessary, but the weight at the back, you have to lift it like that. Whereas actually, if they put the trigger at the back of the handle, it would naturally just fall down.
Yeah.
And that's where so for instance, the BG86, if you look at it as it sits on the floor, sits on the ground, the handle's in that position
Yeah.
there with the trigger.
Yeah.
Because when you hold it level, it's now
You're
pointing
aiming
down
down,
where
yeah.
you want to go. So you just hold it as you naturally
Yeah.
would, and you don't have to
Yeah.
work with it. So it's things like that which
Yeah.
I think make a massive difference.
But
Otherwise,
then-
as you're saying, you're
If I said to you that there's a Toro blower, or for instance, there's a Makita blower, it's really comfortable, but blow them leaves out there. You know what I mean? You might be comfortably blowing,
I mean,
but if it hasn't got the power,
Also,
Yeah.
it depends on price.
No,
Yeah.
it's got
I
a
mean,
blow,
it's
isn't
got-
it?
it's
It could
got
be.
to
It could
have
be.
have that blowing capacity.
Yeah.
I reckon if you looked at stats of them all, they're all literally nearly there.
You'd be
aren't
surprised, I reckon.
But then the thing is, on paper, stuff can seem very good on paper, and you put it out in the field, and it isn't good.
Yeah.
But
So what was the question?
stats?
What's our favourite blower?
What's our favourite cordless blower?
Yeah, so probably most powerful.
I've got
Depends what
I-
brand
two
you run.
egos.
I've just given back my Ego blower because it was a mid-range blower, and I have a still blower which is more powerful. So I just thought, you know what, I may as well just use the more powerful one. However, had I had the other Ego one which had more power, I probably would have kept that one because that has more power at the end of the day.
And what's more comfortable to use, the
Yeah.
Ego or the Still?
Yeah, so for me, what I quite liked about the Ego is there's lots of things to hold it,
Yeah.
so you can move it in different
Yeah.
directions. Whereas the still is one sort of solid piece, if you like.
Yeah.
So, what's more comfortable, the Still or the Ego that you had?
The Ego was more comfortable to
And what's
use.
more powerful?
Well, I didn't have it, but it would have been
But out of both of them, it's the Still.
compared to, well, this is
The one that you had.
compared to the one I had. Yeah, I know it was 58.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by that.
Just
I
so people watching know.
Yeah, 50, yeah, but I've
What-
done a
what you're
video on
talking
it.
about.
Watch my video.
Yeah, watch this review video. But my point is that you got two blowers there, and one of them was more comfortable.
Yeah,
The other one's more powerful.
and I've gone for the more
You've
powerful
gone for the
one.
more powerful one.
Yeah, which is what I said at the start, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
No contradictions
So,
here.
well done, mate.
Right.
Thank you.
Next
Watch this
question.
review. There's many.
I'll put a link
Some of them are like the same as what we've
to your
already.
video.
Do them all.
How long have you been with electric machinery, and is it better than petrol?
Yes, and no. We've sort of discussed that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Backpack, no.
Yeah.
Do you know? So this year, I made a move to battery-powered stuff. So apart from the couple of Toro stuff that I had, which is really just for around the house, I found that particularly because there was no grass to cut, I always did a little bit of hedge cutting, but because there was particularly no grass to cut, I made a massive move to just ticking over by doing hedges, and I was able to borrow and demo a lot of battery stuff, which was great. But then when it all had to go back to various different places, I had to go back to my battery-powered hedge trimmers and stuff, and I found that I suffer with a lot of vibration damage in my elbows from the, I guess, years of using two-stroke and stuff like that. And I've got a 5-month-old, so in the summer was a baby, and I was getting home after and also I had someone working with me, so basically I was just hedge cutting for 8-9 hours solid, and normally I would hedge cut, do that side, have a break and clear it up, but because I had someone doing all the clearing up, I was just cutting, and I got to the point where I was in such pain I couldn't even barely pick the baby up, and then obviously at the end of the day, by the next day I would kind of calmed down a bit and I was able to kind of go back to work, but it just got worse and worse, and I was like, right, I can't do this, I literally cannot do this anymore. It's like change industry or find another way. So I made the move to battery to take away that sort of the vibrations, and it's made a big difference. So that was the main reason for me to go towards battery, to try and just more so than you shouldn't say this, but sort of the environmental issues and noise issues and this, that, and the other. For me, it was vibration, which was the big reason to push to it. And the same for you, was it?
Same for me, 100%. I mean, I think that the environment and stuff comes with it, but that wasn't our main reason.
Yeah.
To buy it.
There's a certain amount of environmental issues. Also, you've got to make the batteries in the first place, which isn't good.
Yeah,
And
I know
they
there's
don't
a lot
last
of
as long as the
contradiction
engine.
about this kind of stuff, but I think there's a lot more to it than someone just saying, "Oh, but you need petrol to make this battery." There's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
Than just you've got to look at it in the long term.
There's a lot. For me, 2020, I bought Makita stuff, and it was just for similar reasons to you, with the vibrations and hedge cutting in the summer. I suppose wearing big ear defenders.
Yeah.
Where your ears sweating like mad.
Yeah,
Not having that is brilliant.
Yeah.
But there was no sort of environmental reasons why I went to
No,
battery.
I mean, I don't know what you find. I speak to my clients and I say, oh yeah, using, you know, battery, but like some of them will go, oh, what are you using there?
Some
type
don't
thing.
care.
Some of them don't, you know, some are just interested in making conversation.
Or I've got this one here that can
But
put
who's going to pay for the
765.
batteries?
What are you going to choose? Surely you choose the handheld.
What's the? Can you get, you know,
Depends on the
still do
batteries.
like a big battery you strap on your back?
Yeah.
Do Ego do that?
Yeah.
So I guess the difference is if you can connect that to your 700
765.
765.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
See, I've
right?
tried that handheld with a 10 amp in the backpack, but the blower isn't comfortable because it's designed to be with a battery.
Yeah.
So once you
it
take the
heads
weight
down, does
out,
it? Yeah.
it goes like that, and then it's not comfortable.
But it depends how long you anticipate on using it. Because if you're
Well, if
going
it's
to use
autumn
it,
leaves, it'd be all day, wouldn't it?
yeah, but that backpack won't do all day.
See, I thought they were going to do it differently. I thought they were going to make the backpack battery
And then you
one
need a lot
battery
of them.
with 2 motors,
Right.
but they've made it 2 batteries with 1 motor for runtime. But
Yeah.
me personally, like the conversation we just had, a blower needs to be powerful, and it needs to leave the handheld blowers behind. If you're going to switch from a handheld to a backpack, you can't just dribble up 45 CFM and say,
See, I just,
Like
for
using
me,
a
I
backpack.
think that backpack will be more comfortable on a site where I could use a handheld, but I don't use a handheld because it's uncomfortable to walk around the whole site blowing with the little handheld.
but have you still got the long tube on it?
I've cut it down.
One brand for the rest of your life. No chance to think.
What, of tools?
Of tools. Battery or petrol. Go. Go.
Here you go.
Still.
Nikita.
Interesting.
What's yours?
Definitely Ego.
I wouldn't use a Nikita mower though. Not yet.
Why do you say it then?
Because haters
Yeah,
don't do
what
a strimmer. Well,
Well, they do a Toro,
They do a
don't
Toro.
they?
well, yes, but they don't hot roll that. And
Well, they're rubbish, aren't they? So you don't say it.
Yeah.
yeah. What's your next purchase?
We still filming?
Next purchase. Probably the mobile phone holder for the Ego mowers.
Have you
Is
not
that an
got
optional
Is that
extra?
is that an optional extra?
Optional extra.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tight, isn't it?
Yeah, optional extra.
Crikey.
How much is it?
I think it's about 15 quid. So,
It's even tighter, isn't it, when you think that?
yeah.
So what's in there? Just a hole at the minute, or is it a little... you just drop it, you drop
Piece
it.
of string!
I'm surprised you knew the price because Ego don't seem to know. the
Yeah,
price.
no one at Ego knew any prices.
No, which is a bit poor. Yeah. Next purchase.
Next purchase. So I've just made 2 purchases, which I haven't used yet, and that was another Time Master and another 56 Pro. So they are. I'm waiting basically to do 2 cuts on every lawn to make sure all the twigs and stuff are collected, and
Before you put them out.
then I will release the new stuff on it, and then I shall be keeping the old stuff as backup and multiple mowers for where there is more than one person mowing, so that our widths are the same.
Curtis?
Portable power bank, I reckon,
Oh,
to charge on the go.
And will you be buying an EcoFlow or an Anchor?
Anchor, I
who's an
reckon.
anchor?
Anchor, I reckon.
Oh, you were saying that bloke was an anchor, weren't you? Which I couldn't possibly say. I was going to get the, I don't know what it's called, the Ego chargery thing.
The inverter.
Inverter.
An inverter.
Yeah.
What, the
Inverter.
the
That
Nexus?
looks quite good. That's
Yeah.
400 watt.
Do you have the little one?
No, Curtis has got the little one, and Greg.
I have,
Really
yeah.
good.
It's
Really
in,
good.
I run.
150 watts.
Would you
so
get the
in
big
my
one? Would you get the big one?
Yes, because you
I
can
would
charge
now-
more stuff.
Now it's out.
Can you charge? Does the little one do a 3-pin plug?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
fine. So basically, you can charge more on the bigger one, and it's better if you're using a laptop or something.
You've got to go by the wattage. So the little one is 150 watt, which will charge a laptop, LED lights. Curtis powers a light switch on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I can
Try
run
and charge.
two LED strip lights and a Makita radio in my container
Yeah.
off that little
So
inverter.
yeah, so I would be looking to get one for the container,
Yeah.
more so, just for lighting, because at the minute I just use a Bosch light off my drill. Sorry, a drill, a Bosch light with a drill battery, but get something a little bit more permanent.
Yeah.
And although the big one looked good, I actually saw the little one and thought, that's good, isn't it? Because you could take that camping or something. couldn't
It's
you?
really portable.
Yeah.
And if that 400 one could charge hater batteries,
Well, it can't, can it?
I don't know.
can.
I need to look it up.
What's the hater batteries? 400 watt?
Doesn't that make buying a hater really expensive if you've got to buy ego batteries to charge?
Well, just so you can charge it on the go.
Yeah.
And you can also solar in.
Yeah,
don't know what you're saying about that,
They've
do you?
got a solar
yeah.
thing
Pick that up.
coming.
See, I asked him a question. I said, so let's just say, you're hedge cutting one. So could you use a bigger ego battery to charge lots of little batteries?
Yeah.
And you sort of, it's like, oh, well, maybe. And then I said, and then, jokingly out loud, I was like, so if I had a 10 amp hour battery and I had an empty 10 amp hour battery and I connected them, would that 10 amps just go straight into that one and then that one would be dead and that one would be full? To which he didn't answer that question either. What happens, Mike? Tell
What
me.
they've got coming out is it's like an enlarged battery, which is like the size of like a 10 litre jerry can,
Yeah.
and you charge that up, and then you keep that in your van, which is like an electric fuel source, yeah, and then it's got 2 holes in it where 2 batteries fit. So you can't use this big battery in any of the tools, but it's got enough to charge, I think it's 40 amp hours worth of batteries.
Yeah.
So if that's in your van, charged up, and for instance, 2 of your batteries die, you can just put them straight in.
So I suppose, in a way, if you're talking about fuel, what I do is I buy a 20 litre jerry can of fuel, keep
Yeah.
it in my container,
Yeah.
and then I mix up a 5 litre 2-stroke
Yeah.
and then a 5 litre pure
Yeah.
fuel mix, and then you just keep decanting power
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
from that. That's a good
It's like
idea.
a giant power bank.
Yeah.
And I think it's either 35 or 40 amp hours it can charge up, so you can get 4 charges out of a 10 amp,
Right. Okay.
which is quite good.
Yeah.
Like what me and Mike do though, putting inverters in. I think charging on the go
Yeah.
is the way to go, because you've got all these batteries. If you can charge on the go rather than buying more and more and more and more
Yeah,
batteries,
so-
It,
because you
it
then
depends
get
on
home.
your route though. If you're only driving 5 minutes to each
I
job,
think you need
you're
to have a
not
look
gonna
at
get
your
everything
own.
done.
Yeah, but
Because for
even
me
then-
that won't work.
So
yeah,
I've-
but then you could charge at a job.
Yeah, so I've spoken
really.
to like one of my clients. I was just chatting. Who's vaguely interested in this sort of stuff, and I was just chatting about battery-powered stuff. And I guess because he has a garden office, he's sort of a little bit invested into the quietness of it. And I was saying, it's great, but you've got to keep charging the batteries. And he's got outdoor sockets, and he was like, look, if you need to charge any batteries, just feel free to go for it. So actually what I do is I make sure as soon as I finish strimming, and then if it's the summer, I'm just a little, blow round, then I'll make sure those ones are back on charge before I move to the next job, to make sure that I start the next job with 100% battery power. Obviously, I don't advise you just do that at people's clients' houses without their permission and stuff like that, but this guy actively encouraged me to do it.
Any other trade would turn up to a property
Yeah.
and plug in.
Yeah, stuff.
It's not like oh my god, the gardener's using our power. We
Yeah.
can't use it. But I think charging on the go
Yeah.
is where people need to move forward. Like what Cress have done with a big
Yeah.
thing, although it's a big investment.
It's still the
What we've done,
future.
we can charge on the go from job to job
Yeah.
for minimal cost.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what, 300 quid for a decent inverter
Yeah.
and some wires here and there.
I asked him a question about the waterproofness of stuff.
Yeah, seriously, it's not good.
No.
It ain't good. Everyone says, oh yeah, it's IPX this and that. IPX 56, I think, is what most of the higher grade ego tools are, and they're splash proof.
Yeah.
It's not waterproof.
Yeah.
It's splash proof from the same direction. Like if you have a look at the IPX ratings, it's not as good as what you think it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, it ain't. But we've used ours in the rain and no problems. But it's
Yeah.
only going to take that one drop to get in the wrong place to mess it up. But I think on that thing that, the little plug thing that we've got that tells you how much power we're using,
Yeah.
I think, I can't remember what battery it was, I think it was either a 7.5 or a 10. And either one of them was about 26p
Yeah.
to charge up from 0 to 100. So it gives you an idea of, you know, it's very cheap. I know the outlay is very expensive, but
Yes.
That all?
Is that it? Is that a wrap?
That'll be a wrap.
Just 4 blokes chewing the cud.
you're listening to karaoke.
Listening to karaoke.
Awful karaoke.